guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to swing by the channel and watch the video today. Appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about a little data, like that compiled some data as far as the tournament wins and high finishes on bass fishing lures across the country in 2025. And guys, the Chatterbait, or the bladed jig, emerged as the #1 producer that was not associated with using spotlighting for bass like the forward-facing sonar minnow, but the Chatterbait was the #1 most productive lure for tournament wins, top 10 finishes that were associated with real bass fishing and non-spotlighting techniques for bass. So what I want to do today, guys, is I want to highlight that a little bit, and I want to talk about, I sort of want to give some advanced information and some advanced techniques on chatterbait fishing, bladed jig fishing, because it is one of my favorite ways to catch a bass. It's super fun. It's a pretty complicated technique because there's a lot of different variables to it in terms of how you set them up, the colors, you know, how you work it, hook sets, areas you fish them in. So I want to sort of like honor the fact that this bait was, you know, came out #1 this past year, and give you guys some tips and advice on things that have been successful for me, ways I have caught fish on a bladed jig that I think is going to help you guys out. So we'll get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, for get started, quick invitation. I do have my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up for the winter months right now on the fishthemoment.com website. These are maps I built for Fish the Moment. Great resources to get some information on your favorite lake or lake you've never been to, and gives you some good fishing spots to go to. I'll have my lake map breakdown link in the description of this video if you guys would like to order one. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's not only taking time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling, but to sign up to be a channel member to get free videos every week that aren't seen by the public. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, go to my YouTube homepage and just click on the join button for info there. So I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I sort of did an informal little data study myself over the past couple days, and I was sort of going through a lot of the tournament highlights, whether it be for any of the Bassmaster MLF events, you know, on every level, you know, AAA circuits and the top level circuits, as well as my own experience here fishing like locally and regionally in the Toyota Series and the BFLs. And the #1 lure that accounted for the most forward-facing sonar wins or top 10 finishes was the bladed jig, which I don't think that's a big surprise. This thing has been a top producer for a while now, but that says a lot. You know, when you have one type of lure that dominates to that extent, it's worth spending some time talking about a little bit. But what I wanted to do specifically in today, guys, is I want to give you guys some tips that have worked for me in my bladed jig fishing, because I've been fishing a bladed jig, guys, for over 20 years, and I've got a lot of time on the water with it and caught some really good bags of fish on it. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, things that I like to do here. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the bladed jig and the color setups more than anything else. There's two different ones that I use primarily. I use this is the Earth Shaker made by Bass & Nova Lure Company. I'll put that link in the description. And this is the Chatterbait, or the jackhammer. I use both of them. Also, guys, I'll put my jackhammer link, my Chatterbait link, and my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to try some of these after that. And I always use this Zoom trailer here, guys. I'll link this in the description too. This is like, I think, the best Chatterbait trailer that you can use, this new little Zoom swimmer here. So from that standpoint, those are the ones I use. And there's 3 primary colors that I use for it. Now, this color selection and the trailer matchup with it is a critical link, depending upon the type of water you're fishing and the water clarity. So I want to go over the 3 basic colors that I use. I use these 3 colors that I'm going to talk about here most all the time. So here they are here based upon those conditions. Now, probably one of my favorite conditions all the way, or favorite colors all the way around, is some type of a green pumpkin or brown or orange combination. You don't have to be specific with it, but any type of combo like this that's got some orange, green pumpkin, or brown. This is a really, really good chatterbait color, especially like earlier in the year and later in the fall. So this is a color that I like to throw a lot during the pre-spawn time of the year when the water's in the 50s. And I also like to throw this color in the fall time of the year when water's in the 50s, like sort of right now. Seems like to me that this color, anytime you got water temperatures in the 50s, maybe low 60s, this is a really good color. And also, This is a great color, guys, anytime you're fishing around submergent or emergent vegetation. This is my go-to color if I'm slow rolling that chatterbait, you know, over high driller or milfoil. I've caught a ton of big bags doing this. This is a great color for that. And there's also a water clarity window that I have found with this. The water clarity window I like for the green pumpkin brown orange combination is sort of that 2 to 3 foot clarity. So if you've got 2 to 3 foot clarity, especially if you've got grass, this is a great color. And also this is a good color just on typical rock or wood, as long as you have that 2 to 3 foot visibility, you know, and that water temperatures in the 50s. But this is, I probably, out of all the bladed jig fish I've caught more big bags of fish on this color combo than any other one. And this one, most of the time I'm using some type of a green pumpkin. This has got a little orange on it here, but you don't have to get real specific with that. Okay, the next one, this is probably the most popular color, but it's one that I don't use as much as other people do, is any type of a shad pattern. White and chartreuse with some type of a white or pearl trailer, silver blade. Oh, and also guys, but on backing up to the crawdad pattern here, I always use a black blade on it. I get a lot more bites on just a solid black blade. The blades will chip on most bladed jigs, so just carry like a bottle of black fingernail polish with you and you can touch them up. But anyway, the shad pattern, guys, silver blade, white or chartreuse skirt, sometimes pearl, something like this. This is a really good color anytime like in the post-spawn or the summertime. It seems like in the post-spawn and the summertime of the year, early fall, bass are really keen on shad more, and this is the color that I use, you know, probably anytime that water temperature is over about 65 degrees. Really, really good color anytime the fish are feeding on shad, which normally is in warmer weather months. And also, the white pearl looking like this works better in stained off-colored water. So this is a color that I'm going to be using if that water visibility is sort of that, maybe that 1 to 2 foot clarity. Off-colored water, shallow water, really good color for that. I've caught a lot of fish on this color right here. This is a great color to use around riprap banks, especially during the shad spawn. Just on rocky banks, fishing it around wood. One of my favorite, you know, ways to fish some type of a pearl or white bladed jig is to throw it next to lay down trees or logs, next to a boat dock. Any place like that's going to be really, really good with it. Also, this is a really good color on a cloudy, low light day. So if you got clouds, rain, wind, low light conditions, the white or the pearl is really good because it has more of a glow in the water in that low light conditions and off colored water. But that's a really good color for that. And a lot of times I'll have them both, guys. In fact, I may have 3 of them on, but a lot of times I'll have both of these on during one day and just mix them up. And my final color that I use, and this is one that doesn't get used very much, but I've done really good on it, is some type of a black or black and blue with some type of a green pumpkin or green pumpkin orange trailer like this. This is deadly, guys, again, around any type of shallow grass. And this is especially a good color in brackish water or tannic acid water. So if you guys fish tidal rivers like, you know, the James River, the Potomac River, Chesapeake Bay, all that type of stuff, or if you're fishing anywhere where there's tannic water, usually associated with vegetation, like in Florida, some places in Louisiana and Mississippi, this is a really good color around that black tannic water that is associated with aquatic vegetation in shallow water. Caught a lot of fish on that. And also the black can be really good in regular type of fisheries if you have dirty water. So say if that water visibility is like around 10 or 12 inches, dirty stained water, a black can work pretty good with that. But those are the 3 primary colors I use all year long. Okay, now next with that, one of the things that you're gonna notice with a bladed jig is you gotta have the right retrieve on it. You've gotta have the right rod. I have found that the best rod for a bladed jig is some type of a long, like a 7 to 7.5 foot bait cast rod that has a medium action tip on it. You don't want a stiff tip. I use the Megabass launcher myself. I'll link that in the description of the video too. It's a 7 foot, 11 inch rod that has a pretty soft tip on it. And it's really critical to use a soft tip rod on a bladed jig because I learned the hard way. I started using a stiffer rod when I started fishing it, like a medium heavy. I lost a lot of fish, and then I started talking to a lot of the anglers that were really good bladed jig anglers. And they told me, said, Randy, you got to have a soft tip rod, because when that bass comes in behind this like this and they inhale that bait, a lot of times when they inhale it, you want that soft tip rod to be able to give a little bit, that allows them to get that bait a little bit more in their mouth. So that's going to be a big advantage to you guys if you use a soft tip rod with the bladed jig. Most of the time on the line size, I'm using either 17 to 20 pound test Seagarn VizX fluorocarbon. If I'm slow rolling the bait, like over deeper grass beds or something like that, trying to get it down into that 4 to 8 foot zone, I'll use the 17. And if I'm fishing it shallow, around shallow cover, I'll go to 20 sometimes with it. And then I'll usually mix it up between two heads. I usually use 3/8 or half. 3/8 ounce if the water's colder, or if I'm fishing a lot shallower. Half ounce if I'm fishing slow rolling a little bit deeper, or if it's really windy. So you just sort of have to mix that up. Now, a couple different things that we're winded up here. Let me talk a little bit about the retrieve and the hook set. This is two final things that you really want to focus in on. The retrieve on a chatterbait, there's several different retrieves you can use. My favorite retrieve with it is to throw it out there, point that rod tip at about the 2 o'clock position, and slow roll it just off the bottom with a sort of like a stop and go retrieve. It's like I'm reeling it and then I'll do a half crank, reel it, half crank, reel it, half crank. I don't just ever just reel it in like that. I'm usually always reeling it like that, and sometimes I'll be twitching the rod, so it sort of looks like this, twitching the rod, hesitating. So what you're wanting to accomplish is you're wanting this bait to, like, you know, go like this across the water. You just don't want it to go straight like that. So shake your rod tip, do a half turn with it, try to keep the action erratic. That's probably my #1 retrieve with it. The second retrieve I use it with it, and this is the one that has produced more big ones for me. Big fish love this type of retrieve. Is you'll throw it out there and you let it hit the bottom, say on, I don't care if it's a grass bed or whatever, and just sweep your rod tip up. Let it go back down, sweep it up. Let it go back down, sweep it up, let it fall on a tight line. And so what it does on this is the bait's going up like that, and then it goes down, goes up like that, goes down. And those big ones, especially during the pre-spawn, this works really good. As that bait is falling back down, you'll just see your line jump in the air like that. And usually it's a big one when they hit it like that. But that's a really good way to catch them if the water temperature's in the 50s and you're fishing a little bit deeper, like that 4 to 6 foot zone around submergent vegetation or on points or something like that. And then finally, the last retrieve I use is the buzzing retrieve, where I just throw it out there, keep my rod tip high, and I'm just reeling it fast just under the surface. It's just coming along the surface, almost like burning a spinnerbait, just stays up high in the water column. And the time that I'm burning it, there's two different scenarios. One is if I'm fishing for smallmouth up north in clear water. This is a great way to catch them, is burning a chatterbait just under the surface. And the other time is I'm fishing shallow vegetation where the water's pretty clear. You know, lily pads, reeds, whatever. I've got some clean water. You know, I don't want the fish to see this very good, burning it across the surface, and they'll come up and hammer it like that. And then finally, as far as the areas, guys, fish a bladed jig anywhere you'd fish any other bait. If you're catching them on a crankbait on a riprap bank, fish it on the riprap bank. If you're catching them flipping a jig or throwing a spinnerbait around lay down trees, throw it around lay down trees. There's literally not a single piece of cover on a lake where you cannot get bit on a bladed jig. It'll work in a foot of water, it'll work in 20 foot of water. It's one of the most versatile baits that I have ever used. And I did not think that initially when I first started using it. When I first started using the bladed jig, I thought it was relegated to just fishing around shallow vegetation. And that's how it gained fame, and it still is a great bait for that. But ultimately, people realize that the combination of the vibration and the profile and everything about the bladed jig, it's an incredible fish producer about anywhere you want to throw it. So anyway, guys, hope that helps you catch some good ones, and we'll check in later.